let me introduce you guys to an insanely powerful Overwatch meta comp. This is the Batiste barrier blasting comp. Barriers are weaker in Overwatch, especially on the PTR, and they will be when this patch hits the live servers. But this means if you build a very specific team, you can delete enemy barriers. And this team comp is mega strong. It has not a lot of counters, and this could really be the next Overwatch meta. Okay, so what we're going to do here is visualize what could be a fantastically strong new meta comp that is the barrier blasting comp, in which barriers can actually be removed from the game so incredibly fast now because they're nerfed. It's going to be ridiculous if this becomes a thing. Now, a bunch of pros have been using this on the EU pro pugs on the PTR, but I want to visualize this for myself and also for you guys as well, just to kind of show you how this works and why it's so strong. So let's dive into this and let's take a look at the comps that we've got. So the blue team is the team we're going to focus on. This is our team. The red team is the enemy team. And we're going to use Iconvolt simply because this map is a very beautiful kind of map to illustrate where barriers are really strong, because you have to attack into a stationary barrier most of the time, and typically that's with an Orisa. All right, okay, let's take a look at what's going on here. So we've got our Orisa here. She's out in front. We've got our Reinhardt. Now, Reinhardt Orisa could become a very strong meta sort of double barrier comp, but we're just going to use them in this example because they've got the most barrier available right now in the game on the PTR. But remember, this PTR patch will go live fairly soon, we hope, or at least next week. So Orisa Reinhardt, we've got a lot of HP on the barriers here combined. We've got a Mei, and we'll explain Mei a little bit later in the kind of breakdown, because what I want to talk about first is the Hanzo, the Batiste, and the Zen. And hilariously, Hanzo doesn't have an old player icon, he just has a fancy new one. So there you go, beautiful Batiste. Okay, so what we've got here is a barrier frontline, which is awesome. Heavy barrier damage with Hanzo with his storm arrows, insanely fast at ripping barriers down. Zen, insanely fast at ripping barriers down. Batiste, pretty good at doing barrier damage. Mei can assist with barrier damage, but also has disruption capability. So if the enemy team decide to rush us because they've got no barriers, well, we've got a Mei. So take a look at this. The enemy team is set up as such. So we've got a Reinhardt and we've got an Orisa. Imagine the enemy team come under the bridge. Now, what's going to happen in this phase is pretty simple. There's going to be a lot of spam damage coming the way of the enemy team. This happens all of the time. So if we take a look at this and we just visualize damage coming through, it's going to be from the Hanzo, it's going to be from the Mei, it's going to be from the Zen, and it's also going to be from the Batiste and the Orisa, and there will be Fire Strike from the Reinhardt. Now, the only one that's not really contributing massive damage output here is the Reinhardt. So what you could say with this is, instead of Reinhardt, you could potentially swap this out to a Roadhog, and you would have even more barrier destruction capability. In fact, at that point, it would be completely ludicrous. All right, let's get rid of all of these damage lines, because it's quite evident what's happening. The enemy team are here. Their barriers are deployed. What we're going to do is just smash them. Smash, 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 smash. The damage is massive. A Fire Strike just goes through because that's what it does. What we've got here is the enemy barrier doesn't last very long because they've only got the 600 HP from the new Orisa barrier and the 1400 HP from the Reinhardt barrier. So what the enemy need to do here is they've only really got one option. They have to basically rush through as fast as possible, get through the gap using their barriers, interchanging them just to stay alive, and then the rest of the team needs to somehow get through here. So what they would be looking to do is, yes, they get round the back here, you know, maybe they look to engage on the point there. If this, then the blue team has to change their position. The issue I've got with this is it's very difficult for the red team to actually break through this because they're just going to get hit with so much damage. It's going to be, frankly, utterly insane. Now, this is where heroes like D.Va might come in. So the enemy team, instead of using the Reinhardt, they maybe have a D.Va to just eat the damage and try and get through really quick. Or instead of having the Orisa, that becomes a D.Va, and the Reinhardt takes the Orisa slot. So then effectively, you've got a D.Va in there now to try and eat up all of this incredible incoming damage, which is just going to, like, literally smash through the enemy team. Now, I can't stress to you guys how much damage this actually is. This is massive amounts of damage. This is damage which is frankly so obscene, it will just remove the enemy barriers as soon as you see them. It's crazy. Now, Zen comes back into this, and I really like this because Zen has been been out of the meta for a while. Now, Zen offers massively, like really good range DPS. Now, the way to look at Zen is like an artillery platform. He does damage from range. He tries to keep himself safe. Yes, he's vulnerable to dive heroes, like isolating him and wiping him out. What Zen needs to do, and Zen has always been this way, is he needs to play with his support. Now, Baptiste has a very strong ability called Immortality Field, which he can drop down to keep the Zen alive. So if the enemy team does something crazy, and this is why we've got a Reaper here. So imagine Reaper gets in behind here, right? So Reaper teleports his way around, whatever, while we're skirmishing at the front. This could be a Doomfist, it could be a Genji, it could be a Tracer, anybody who can flank. Now, what they're trying to do here is get down onto the low ground to take out the Zen, or maybe the Zen's isolated, so they just want to take him out. That's literally the whole game plan of the Reaper. Well, Baptiste here can just throw down Immortality Field, and then this does nothing, and then this has to rave the way, or it's going to have a really bad time. Pressure's going to be put on it, and it could be wiped out. That's really strong. And not only that, Immortality Field is going to be massively good just simply because, let me just go back in time and remove those, simply because Immortality Field is going to protect your entire team from any kind of mental high burst damage that the enemy might have, or ultimates that they might want to use. It's just a really good, really good ability. So Baptiste, I think, is going to be a incredibly strong support. In fact, he's going to be the premier go-to support, I think, in this entire meta. All right, then, let's take a look at just random abilities, or not random abilities, but the abilities of the heroes we've got in this comp, because this is the comp that we're focusing on here, and why it's so difficult for the enemy team to break this and to fight into it. Now, again, the reason why I've picked Eichenwald is you're set up in a defensive position. Now, we could be going into an era here where instead of fighting over like enemy, how can I phrase this? Like, I think what might be happening here is we're going to be fighting over positions very quickly, fighting over space rather than trying to initiate the fight on the point. A lot of comps in the past, especially when it was Orisa and it was Sigma, you kind of wanted to just control an area and say, come on, fight us. So on control, it was really good because you just got onto the point and was like, hey, come on, you've got to come on the point and fight us. Orisa is an anchor tank, right? That's kind of what she's been known for. Remember though, Orisa has been buffed, and it is a straight up buff to Orisa. Yes, her barriers have got 600 HP now instead of 900, but she also has Fortify, which is just way better than it was before, so she can brawl more. So what I was trying to explain here in a pretty terrible way, basically, but is this enemy team needs to aggress into our defensive position. This means our barriers are set up here. The enemy team, as they move around the choke here, then they start to set up their barriers. So the enemy team barriers go in, our team fire into them with everything they've got and evaporate the enemy barriers. Now, is this enough time for the enemy team to be able to move through, get through the choke, or do the enemy team want to move straight into us and try? Oh my god, I've destroyed the thing. I apologize. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the first time I'm using this. Oh dear. Do our team want to rush straight in, or the enemy team rush straight into us and take us on? But the problem with all of this is we've still got our barriers. Like, we literally will have our barriers in place. We're nice and safe. We've got a Baptiste who's beautiful, and he gives us Immortality Field and massive amounts of healing. But this is where we get onto Mei, and why Mei might be incredibly strong in this comp. Now, there is one thing I do want to explain here. Mei is interchangeable, and so is Reinhardt, I think, as well. Orisa is still a massively good, like, Orisa is still the best tank in the game. I've got, like, no doubt in my mind. In fact, I think Blizzard have kind of made her better in this new low HP barrier world that we live in. But Hammond is also very good as well. D.Va, kind of the jury's still out on D.Va, but maybe because of this insane damage output that we're looking at, D.Va might start coming back. Anyway, Mei, and the reason why she's in this comp right now is if this enemy team, and again, this is exactly the reason why I've picked this enemy team comp with the Reaper and the McCree. Actually, as well, you could change the Reaper for a Doomfist here, or the McCree for a Doomfist. But the whole point of this comp is they want to get into your face, right? Now, the problem they've got is as they're trying to push into us, we've got our barriers, they don't have theirs because we've destroyed them as soon as we've seen them. But now they've got to try and fight through our barriers. So we're in a really strong position here. So they engage onto us. What's going to happen here? Well, Mei's going to be an absolute monster here because she can use her wall, which is in effect another barrier. So this is like triple barrier. But also Mei, and this is the super strong thing with Mei, is she's really good when it comes to these type of brawly fights. She's going to be freezing everyone, making a massive mess. It's going to be actually ridiculous. And that's one of the reasons why I've put Mei into this comp. So I hope, guys, that sort of explains the way I think this meta is going to go in a very like a visual way, like an easier kind of way. To sort of break this down. There is one thing which I do want to touch on at the very end of this video as well, and it's ultimate usage, because we have to talk about this because obviously it's such a massive part of synergy within Overwatch, and I guess we'll just quickly go over this. So we'll focus again on the blue team for this, and where are our synergies? What can we do? Well, Batiste has got amplification matrix, which just means you'll be able to delete barriers actually insanely quick. So imagine if we get amp matrix down here and then we just fire through it. So imagine Batiste drops his amp matrix down here and everybody fires through it. Well, that's just going to be ridiculous. Like, these guys are going to die so much quicker. It's just going to be actually sick. You've also got little stupid combos like Reinhardt's fire strike through an amp matrix is insanely powerful. I think it's 200 damage. You guys can correct me on that. I'm trying to go off. I think it's 200 damage, I think. But it will be even more, because if Zen's got his Discord orb in and that goes through an amplification, it's just insane, right? Hanzo is just going to be able to, everybody on this team can use the amp matrix, so it's just going to be ridiculous. Now, the key things I like with this, and this is going to be me being a little bit sort of biased towards the heroes that I like to play, and at the end of the day, that's kind of what happens with Overwatch, right? Is Zen comes back. Now, I really would like to see Zen come back into the game. Now, the reason why Zen is here and no other support is there is because they don't provide that massive range damage that Zen provides. Zen literally does. Batiste is basically Soldier 76 with way better abilities, so he's just insane as it is. Hanzo, mega barrier break potential. Mei, insane brawl potential if we somehow get pushed on by the enemy, but also Mei can drop her wall down, and that's just kind of like another barrier. Mei's ultimate is ridiculously good as well. Hanzo's is pretty good as well when used in chokes. Hanzo and Orisa have got a beautiful combination with their Halt and Dragon Strike, which is just wonderful. Earth Shatter is a beautiful ultimate. This is, I think, guys, what's going to happen. This looks like a very strong meta comp, and I think we might see this everywhere. Again, like I said, you can interchange Mei with anything you want, really. This could be a Doomfist. You could just go for more range damage. You could just throw like a soldier in, or like a Junkrat, or maybe you go crazy and pull out Pharah. Now, what I've been trying to think is, I know I said I would end this video. I shouldn't have said that in the middle of the video. I apologize. But how do you counter this comp? The thing with this comp is it's kind of got answers to a lot of different things. If you try and dive this, well, it's got Batiste. It's got Mei. If you try and poke this at range, well, I mean, it's a range comp anyway. If you try and poke it with Pharah, well, I mean, it's a ranged comp, so there's a lot of people that can actually just shoot the Pharah. And also, you've got Discord back. I don't know, guys, what's going to happen with this, but I think this is going to be a super, super strong meta comp. Anyway, guys, I've been Stylosa. This has been like a tactical breakdown of Overwatch comps, and I'm going to do more of this because I think this is super cool to do, and I think I've finally got a really good way of visualizing this instead of showing us straight up gameplay footage, because sometimes that can be difficult to work out. This is more of like, I don't want to say this is like what Overwatch League coaches do. Kind of, but like, this is a really basic, like, I mean, I'm an idiot compared to those guys. Like, those guys are just insane. But it's cool to watch them sometimes work and pick up bits of info off them and see how they, you know, put stuff together, because we can learn from this. And I think this is just going to be an incredible comp. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you lovely lot on the next one. If you want to see more videos like this, then like the video and subscribe to the channel. Toodaloo.